I decided I was going to go through a posting on Reddit that was about infidelity so that I could give you a therapist's point of view. And this is not necessarily a therapeutic recommendation as this is the only way this is going to be addressed or there's something wrong here. I just want to give you my opinion based on experience in supporting couples as they start to heal. So I'm going to go ahead and read it, and I might stop along the way and just give my 2 cents here and there. So the title was Finally Healed After Cheating. So she's talking about the dynamics, things that needed to happen in order for her to say, I think I can be invested in recovery. So I caught my husband cheating. It was like he was living a double life. He was in a relationship, both physical and emotional, with another woman. We have 3 children, 7, 2.5, and 18-month-old. When I found out, he begged for my forgiveness. I learned about the affair in late October. I decided to give him another chance because I didn't want to throw away my 11-year relationship and 8 years being married. After finding out, I noticed a change in him. He would come home from work early. He was helping me with the kids. He was showing me love and affection. It was like I got my husband back, but I couldn't look at him. Every time he did something nice or made me feel good, I couldn't help but think he was up to no good. I had no trust in him. He would go to work and I would just go to check and see if his car was there. He would go to a restaurant with his guy friends and I would call the restaurant to make sure it was only guy friends at his table. I was losing my mind. When I first found out, my husband was very apologetic. He knew what he did was wrong, but he wouldn't want to talk about it. I would ask him, what led up to this? Is it me? Am I ugly? Am I not your type? Were you bored? Where did you meet? He would only answer the questions about me and never her. My curiosity was killing me. 3 days ago, we had a little disagreement that turned into a massive fight. We started it with one thing and ended up with how I'm doing too much and I'm going to drive us both insane. I got my kids and I went to visit my parents out of the state just so I can get a little mental break. Dealing with my relationship and 3 children is really taking a toll on me mentally. I let him know I'll be gone for a couple of days via text. I also told him I never got my answers and the curiosity and the not knowing will be the thing that ends this marriage. I came to my parents and honestly was ignoring my husband's calls and text. I felt as if I couldn't get my answers to my questions. There was no need for us to talk. I needed my break, so let me have that. I guess not talking to me for a couple of days, it took a toll on him too. I would like to add my husband is not a let's talk about our feelings type of guy, but today the feelings came out. He called me and told me why he didn't want to talk about it and about her. He said he can't forget the look on my face and my eyes when I confronted him. He said that image I can't ever forget. He said the pain it caused you will be the death of him. He knows what he did was wrong and how stupid it was. He told me he regretted it, and if he could go back, it would be different. He kept telling me things and telling me how he didn't want to answer the questions because every time he answered, the more pain I felt. I have known my husband for 11 years, and I have never heard him express himself this way. I have never heard him begging for my forgiveness. I have only seen him cry 3 times, and that was when our children were born. But today it was the 4th time. He cried, explaining everything. He said, if it'll help you move on and forget, ask me anything and I will answer. Told him I just want the truth, and I won't be mad with the answers. I just want honesty. I wanted the truth. He answered every question I had. He explained stuff to me. He talked about what he was feeling and everything. He told me everything I wanted. It was a curiosity that was killing me. I needed to know, how many times did they have sex? Where did they have sex? Where was I when this was occurring? How could you do this to me? Why wasn't I enough? And he finally said it wasn't a you problem. It was a me. We talked for about 2 hours. We talked about what we needed from each other. We talked about everything that we needed to say. My husband was crying during this phone call, but I wanted the information. And let me tell you, I feel as if an elephant was lifted off my chest. During this while conversation, it wasn't easy, but now my curiosity is done. I have answers to my questions. I kept saying to myself, why was I the bad wife? But it wasn't me, it was him. I have never had my husband be so open and raw with me like this. He said, if it will help you, ask away. And it was so freeing. I know he's regretful. I believe him when he says he's sorry. I know the sound in his voice when he lies or is excited. And today, I know everything he told me was the truth. I got what I needed. I no longer feel the need to compare myself and also blame myself for his mistakes. It was a really effed up thing he did. I know I couldn't look at him for months, but I'm going to forgive and forget, and hopefully our marriage will be stronger. I always thought if my husband cheated, I would be the first to leave, but I now know how difficult it is. And working on it and working on each other is going to be hard, but I think we can do it and move on with this. I got my answers. I feel healed in a weird way. So I guess if you really love someone and have kids with them, you're going to try your very best to forgive and heal those wounds. She said, sorry for the long post. I just needed somewhere to let this out and just vent and hear myself out loud. Hopefully, my forgiveness to him will help others have a different perspective. Okay, so now I'm going to go at this from my background. I'm a certified sex addiction therapist. This is not unfamiliar to me. This is something I see. Small families at the beginning, they have young children, marriages under 8 years usually. And when discovery happens, it's devastating. She said things like, I couldn't look at him. And he was doing all the right things. He was doing anything and everything he could to try to rebuild trust with her. And it just wasn't enough because she needed to know answers to questions. And then it also triggered off her, I can't trust my own eyes and ears. I have to know if he is where he says he is. I have to know if he's with who he says he's with. So while she appreciated the answers to location and the extra effort to help and the changes in hours, it was the other piece that was really driving her crazy. And it has a lot to do with how a woman sees herself. And if the person that she believed committed to her is looking at someone else, then it starts to make her question, what did he even see in me? If he can see something in someone else, maybe he doesn't need me anymore. And I had his children. So it's those kinds of thoughts. She set a limit when she said, okay, you don't want to talk to me. I'm taking the kids and I'm leaving. And that break that she needed, a lot of couples need that. There are plenty of times where I've seen couples have to take separation where they're actually physically leaving. One leaves the house and goes to a hotel or goes and rents an apartment or stays with a friend or moves in with family members. And that can be very beneficial because it gives the partner an opportunity to not always constantly look at the person that hurt them the most and be thinking about that hurt. A lot of times couples will have separation where it's actually within the household. So maybe one person gets a master bedroom and the other person gets the couch or maybe the guest room or sleeps in the house office. It just depends. And then it becomes a whole other level of discussion. How do we communicate with each other? Is it okay for me to ask her questions? Is it okay for me to expect him to do certain things? There's a lot of things that have to be ironed out, but ultimately, it's being able to have that physical space and separation that will allow a partner to start feeling like they can take a deep breath for a moment and not have to worry about the dynamics of their relationship. It said she went to her parents. I think one of the areas or one of the issues there is if you go to family members, everybody's going to give you their opinion. And that makes things a little bit more clouded. If you set limits or boundaries, a lot of times that's going to be enough to be able to allow you to have that space and to just maybe even get another person to help you with the children while you're trying to heal or trying to start the healing process. I think that one of the other things I've noticed in here is that she said, I have never had my husband be so open and raw with me like this. I know that when I hear a partner say that in a couple session, that I know that I've opened the door a little bit for the couple to start building communication. For a lot of couples, when there's been cheating or a lot of focus on adult video stuff, there's just been this steady distance and separation from time due to commitments to work and commitments to children and all of their schedules, and people get tired, and so people get further and further apart. And to me, that also means that emotionally people aren't connected. If he's upset, she doesn't know or doesn't even notice. If she's upset, he doesn't even understand why. He just feels, can't she move on? One of the other things that she talked about towards the end of this was that forgiving and forgetting is possibly going to lead to a stronger marriage. And I had somebody in a conference somewhere at some point say, never waste a trauma. And it didn't make sense to me. But when they talked about how trauma gets a person as they start to heal, it allows them to get to another level to improve themselves, whether it's making changes in their lives or learning to manage things differently or in a better way. That's growth. That's trauma, growth from trauma. It's also resiliency growth. You name it. There's just a variety of different ways that people like to title this, but basically things are better than they were when it first started, the relationship first started. And it's just amazing to see a couple maybe that's been together for 20 years realize that maybe the last 10 years where they weren't emotionally connected, they lost out on an opportunity to love each other, to support each other, to be able to have a best friend in residence. You're living with each other and basically acting as if you're strangers on a lot of levels. Maybe the main thing that you can do together is that you actually can do your parenting. If you feel like you're struggling with something like this, please consider reaching out, finding a therapist, or starting to attend support groups. There's support groups for women or men that are the betrayed partners. I know there's several others out there. In a lot of churches, there are recovery groups for women so that they can support each other as they go through addressing betrayal trauma. That's the name for this. For men, there's Sex Addiction Anonymous, there's Sex and Porn Addiction Anonymous, there's Sex Addiction life groups, things like that. So being able to reach out to groups. The other thing is there are just a whole ton of podcasts out there and webinars that people offer for free and books. Oh my gosh, there's so many books out there. So please just consider if you would like the extra support or you need the extra help, try to look for somebody that you trust to be able to share. And if you can't trust or share and you have the ability to go get some counseling or go get some coaching, please do that. Again, I'm a certified sex addiction therapist. There's other people out there that specialize in helping heal relationships and also coaching for partners, couples where the partner has been betrayed. So have a good rest of the day and look forward to giving you more information. This is just an opinion from a therapist's point of view. Thank you.